long before Gabby Hayes became one of Hollywood's most recognizable Western sidekicks. He was born George Francis Hayes on May 7, 1885, in a small hotel in Stannards, New York. Growing up in a family run by a hard-working hotel owner and oil production manager, he was surrounded by travelers, stories, and everyday people whose lives quietly shaped his imagination. As a young man, Hayes tried many paths, working in a circus and even playing semi-professional baseball, learning discipline and teamwork along the way. These early experiences taught him how to connect with audiences and adapt to different environments. In 1914, he married Olive Ireland, and together they found success performing in vaudeville. Their partnership lasted more than 40 years and became the emotional anchor of his life. Though he once retired, financial hardship pushed him toward Hollywood, where destiny awaited him in an unexpected form. 2. Finding his place in Western cinema, 145 words. Gabby Hayes entered Hollywood late, but when he arrived, he quickly discovered his true calling in Western films. Despite having no cowboy background and learning to ride horses in his 40s, he embraced the genre with humor and heart. His grizzled beard, raspy voice, and colorful phrases like "dadgummit" made him unforgettable. Audiences loved his portrayal of loyal, cranky, but good-hearted sidekicks who stood beside heroes like Roy Rogers, John Wayne, and William Boyd. Hayes became a symbol of comic relief and wisdom wrapped into one character. His popularity soared through the 1930s and 1940s, earning him a place among the top 10 favorite Western stars for many years. Yet behind the playful persona was a thoughtful, articulate man who valued professionalism and respect. It was during these years that his path crossed with Randolph Scott, a relationship that would later inspire reflection and quiet admiration. 3. A quiet friendship with Randolph Scott, 145 words. For decades, fans wondered what Gabby Hayes truly thought of Randolph Scott, the tall, dignified leading man of Western cinema. In a rare late-life interview, Hayes finally spoke about the man behind the screen legend. He described Scott as a true gentleman, reserved and deeply professional. Off-screen, Scott was not loud or showy, but calm and reflective. Someone who believed in letting his work speak for itself. Hayes admired this quality, saying Scott always arrived prepared, respected fellow actors, and treated everyone with fairness. Their bond was not built on public appearances or Hollywood gossip, but on mutual respect and shared values. Hayes explained that he had stayed silent for years because Scott was private and deserved dignity. Only with time did Hayes feel the world should know the kind of man Scott truly was, not just the hero he portrayed in films. 4. Respect over rumors and loyalty over fame, 145 words. When asked why he had never spoken openly about Randolph Scott before, Gabby Hayes gave a simple and powerful answer: respect. He believed some friendships were meant to be protected from speculation and public curiosity. Scott, he said, was not a man who enjoyed attention beyond his work. Hayes emphasized that Scott valued loyalty and long-lasting friendships more than fame or headlines. Without addressing rumors or private matters, Hayes focused on Scott's integrity and personal code of honor. He compared Scott to the characters he played on screen, men who stood by their principles and treated others with fairness. Hayes shared that Scott supported fellow actors quietly, encouraging producers to give chances to character actors and older performers who brought authenticity to Western films. In doing so, Scott helped shape Hayes' own career path. Their relationship was not loud or dramatic, but steady and sincere, grounded in mutual trust and admiration. 5. A career shaped by encouragement, 145 words. One of the most surprising revelations from Gabby Hayes was how much Randolph Scott influenced his own career. Hayes explained that Scott believed Westerns were not only about young heroes, but also about settlers, old-timers, and everyday people who gave the frontier its soul. Scott often encouraged producers to cast character actors who brought warmth and realism to stories. This belief helped Hayes carve out his niche as the lovable sidekick who added humor and humanity to rugged tales. Hayes credited Scott with seeing value in his unique presence and helping others recognize it as well. Rather than competing for attention, Scott quietly uplifted those around him. Hayes spoke of this with gratitude, noting that true success in Hollywood was not just about starring roles, but about lifting others along the way. Their professional relationship became a reminder that kindness and mentorship could leave a lasting impact beyond box office numbers. 6. Life after loss and quiet retirement, 145 words. After the death of his beloved wife Olive in 1957, Gabby Hayes faced one of the most difficult periods of his life. Their marriage had been the foundation of his world, and her passing left a deep emotional void. At first, Hayes retreated to his ranch in Tujunga, California, seeking comfort in solitude and familiar surroundings. The peaceful environment allowed him time to grieve and reflect on decades of shared memories. As he aged, however, the isolation became less practical, and he moved into an apartment building he owned, choosing a setting that offered easier access to care and companionship. Despite his fame, Hayes lived modestly and remained friendly with neighbors and tenants. He no longer sought the spotlight, preferring a quiet life shaped by routine and reflection. This phase of his life revealed the gentle, humble man behind the screen's gruff and comic persona. 7. Tributes that kept his spirit alive, 145 words. Even after retirement, Gabby Hayes' influence continued to echo through American culture. His image was honored in creative tributes, ranging from comedy to animation. In Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles, a character named Gabby Johnson humorously captured Hayes' rambling speech style, turning his screen persona into affectionate parody. Pixar later paid tribute through Stinky Pete in Toy Story 2, a character that mirrored Hayes' comic Western roots while revealing unexpected depth. Johnny Carson also honored Hayes with an impersonation alongside Roy Rogers, reminding audiences of his lasting appeal. These tributes showed that Hayes was more than a supporting actor. He was an icon of a bygone era. Each homage reflected how deeply his character had entered popular memory. Through laughter, nostalgia, and admiration, his spirit lived on in new generations who discovered his influence through film, television, and animation. 8. A community that never forgot him, 145 words. Gabby Hayes' hometown and surrounding communities also kept his memory alive in meaningful ways. From the 1980s through the late 1980s, Wellsville, New York celebrated Gabby Hayes Days, featuring festivals, square dancing, and look-alike contests. Children and adults dressed as the bearded cowboy, turning his image into a joyful symbol of small-town pride. A street named Gabby Hayes Lane stands as a permanent reminder of his roots. The annual Gabby Hayes Memorial Trout Fishing Tournament in Pennsylvania continues to honor both his love of the outdoors and his legacy. These celebrations were not about fame, but about connection. They reflected how deeply audiences had embraced him as part of American folklore. Hayes became more than a film character. He became a figure of warmth and humor woven into local traditions. His legacy endured not through monuments alone, but through shared memory and community spirit. 9. Final days and a lasting goodbye, 145 words. In early 1969, Gabby Hayes' health declined, and he was admitted to St. Joseph Hospital in Burbank, California. Complications from heart disease weakened him over several weeks, and on February 9, 1969, he passed away peacefully at the age of 83. His death marked the end of an era for fans of classic Western films, who had grown up watching his familiar face on the screen. Hayes was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills Cemetery, among other legends of cinema's golden age. Though he had long retired, his influence remained strong. Colleagues and fans alike remembered him as more than a comic sidekick. He was a professional, a loyal friend, and a man whose warmth extended beyond the roles he played. His passing was mourned not only as the loss of an actor, but as the farewell to a beloved symbol of classic Hollywood storytelling. 10. Breaking silence and honoring a cowboy brother. 150 words. When Gabby Hayes finally spoke about Randolph Scott, his words were not sensational, but sincere. He painted a portrait of a man defined by honor, dedication, and quiet kindness. Their relationship, built on mutual respect rather than publicity, reflected a different Hollywood era, one where friendship mattered more than headlines. Hayes' reflections revealed two men who shared a love for storytelling and a belief in integrity. In breaking his silence, Hayes did more than satisfy curiosity. He offered a heartfelt tribute to a fellow cowboy who walked the same dusty trails of cinema. Together, they represented the human side of the Western myth, where loyalty and humility mattered as much as courage. Gabby Hayes' final words about Randolph Scott remind us that legends are not only created on screen, but in how people treat one another behind the scenes. Their story stands as a quiet lesson in respect, friendship, and the enduring spirit of the Old West.